So welcome back everybody to the Canada Specialist Program webinar series. Our next update today is with Nicole, Manager of Travel Trade at Ottawa Tourism. Nicole, welcome back to the series.
Thank you.
I know you want to kick off with some of the basics, a quick intro to the city. Ottawa's a compact city. What does it look like?
Yeah, it is. I mean, again, there's a little map, but you can see on the map on the right, that's our downtown. It's a very compact city. I can walk sort of from one end of the map, east to west, in about 20-30 minutes, just to give you an idea. The bigger blue line going east to west near the top is the Ottawa River that separates us. Above it is the province of Quebec, and we're below it in Ontario. And then the thinner blue line that's going sort of north-south, that is the Rideau Canal, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It is people boat on it in the summer, but you'll see later that people do skate on it in the wintertime, including skating to work and to school. But all those little red squares that you see throughout the map, those are all some major landmarks, including our Parliament buildings, some in the museums, and the Byward Market area, which I'll talk about as well. So it's very easy to get around quite quickly. You can, either if you're doing a fly drive or taking Via Rail to come see the city, you really can, if you're staying downtown, leave a vehicle there and do most of it by walking or with the hop on, hop off type tours that are available.
Cool, easy to get around. Thank you.
Yeah.
And yeah, so can you talk us through some of those iconic Ottawa landmarks that you just mentioned?
Yes. So here you see this is the Rideau Canal at the very top in the wintertime. So it is one of the largest skating rinks in the world. And again, it's quite a unique feature in the wintertime for sure. You can, depending on if Mother Nature cooperates, skate all winter, but then we have a winter festival to celebrate it as well. At the bottom left, Rideau Hall is our Governor General residence, so the Queen's representative in Canada, and it's a free tour you can take at that residence. You just have to book ahead of time. And then in the middle, that's the building of the Byward Market, but the Byward Market itself is sort of a 5-by-5 block radius in the downtown area. It's one of the oldest farmers markets in Canada, and it still is. We do have a big shopping mall downtown with some of the major stores, but in the Byward Market is where you find the unique little boutique stores, cafes, pubs, restaurants. It's a really lively area. And then the Parliament buildings, that building you see there with the clock on it, unfortunately at the moment is under major renovations, including asbestos and electrical and plumbing. So that building itself is not, it's closed unfortunately for the next at least probably 7 years, but our Parliament building is still tourable. So our House of Commons and our Senate, I'm not sure if they're the same names in Australia, I'm assuming maybe. So our House of Commons and Senate were in this building. The House of Commons moved to a building just next door that you can still tour. You just pre-book a certain time, free. And then the Senate is in an old train station downtown across from the famous Chateau Laurier Hotel. So they're still tourable. It's just that you can't go in this building with the clock on it.
Good to know. Thank you. So what are some of the ways to explore the city?
Yeah, there's lots of different ways, from the air, on boats, from your bike, with your feet. So yeah, there's two different companies in town that either you can rent a bike from them, or they do offer escorted bicycle tours. There is a haunted walking tour. There's a Ottawa walking tour. The owner of that company is used to work on Parliament Hill and is currently a history teacher, so he knows his stuff for sure. And so we have those two waterways I mentioned, the canal and the river. So there is Rideau Canal cruises. Their Rideau Canal cruises are, they have actually changed their boats. I will have to update this picture. They now have a purely electric boat on the canal, and they just about a week ago added a second electric boat on the river, on the canal. And then they are working on getting their boats that are on the river that you'll see in the bottom right, Paul's Boat Line. That's their current boat. They're working on getting even that one on the river updated to be an electrical boat as soon as possible. Another company that's on the river is a company called Grey Line and Lady Dive. So Grey Line is the company that does the hop on, hop off bus tours, and they even have a winter product, which is cobblestone tours, which is a winter trolley that's heated in the wintertime. They can do hop on, hop off, but they also have something called Lady Dive. It's an amphibus. So it is a bus that you go on, but it does go into the river for a little while too and tour around on the river. So you get the best of both worlds. And you can see the city by sky. We have helicopter tours, and then that picture in the top right, that is an old like a World War II biplane. So it's 2 people at a time, open cockpit. They give you that special little leather hat and goggles to wear on the plane, and you pick it up those tours from the Aviation Museum. And we have also sort of themed tours. So C'est Bon Ottawa, they offer both cooking classes in their Byward Market location. And then they also offer food tours in different locations, including the Byward Market. And they're not skimpy. When we do them, when we've had sort of fam trips or something like that, when we include them on a fam, people are definitely not feeling like they have to eat something afterwards. And even by supper, if we had it for lunch, by supper, they're still pretty full. Thirsty Peddlers, sort of like a bar hopping kind of fun thing. Brew Donkey, they do, we're known really well for our breweries in Ottawa. So Brew Donkey brings people to the different breweries in Ottawa for sampling, but they also have a new product, which is for travel trade, which is a shorter 2.5-hour tour that not does 2 breweries, but also talks about the history of beer making in our region. Oh,
yeah. Cool. So yeah, there's some great things to do, but of course you're the capital. You've got some museums. Tell us about the museums.
We do. So we have lots of them, actually. So Canada has 9 national museums, and 7 of the 9, which are Canada's museums, are in our region. So you can really learn about the whole country in one place. Probably one of the most visited museums in Canada, if not North America, is the Canadian Museum of History. It's more about the history of Canada's people. It has it includes a large Indigenous exhibition. One of its sister museums is the Canadian War Museum. They have the Defram Bunker, actually is not one of the national ones, but it's and it's not quite downtown. You need a car for that one, but that one is unique. It's an underground bunker from the old 60s, 70s Cold War era, and it's where our Prime Minister would have been whisked off to had something happened. And it's a really unique place to go if you can, if you do have a vehicle. And the Bytown Museum at the bottom right is also not a national one. It's actually, we used to be called Bytown a long time ago before we became the capital. And that's more talking about the history of when we were that town, how they made the canal. And yeah, but there's the National Gallery of Canada, and even in Ottawa Art Gallery as well, and Science Museum and Aviation Museum, Nature Museum, Agriculture. So quite a lot of museums to see.
Yeah, you've got them all.
Yeah.
So if you're not a fan of museums, what about some of the outdoor activities and other things to do?
Yeah, my brother hates museums. I'm the one that brings his kids to them. So, so for the outdoor enthusiast, as Sonia mentioned, about an hour and a half, 2 hours west of Ottawa is sort of big adventure rafting. But we even have rafting in the city, which is quite unique for a city, let alone a capital. This, as you can see in the bottom left, is the rafting, and that's our Parliament buildings in front of you. It's about 4 hours long, so you can go see a museum in the morning, go back to the hotel to change into a bathing suit and have lunch, and then go rafting in the afternoon. Quite a unique experience. And it's instead of the big adventure that's about an hour and a half, 2 hours west of us, it's a bit more calm, but still an adventure. I'm still screaming when I see the waves coming at you when you're in the boat. We have a new zip line that goes across that same river. That it's the first interprovincial, because you're zip lining from Ontario to Quebec. We do have bungee jumping, which I have not done. And we do have Camp Fortune. It is skiing in the winter, but they have a new hilltop to hilltop zip line as well that just opened up weeks ago. And then we have cave hiking, and we have the rafting that she mentioned, and even a Nordic spa as well. For families and kids, there's it's either as a good between Ottawa and Montreal is Omega Park, but it's about 45-50 minutes away. So you can also do it as a day trip and come back to Ottawa. And for people with little kids, the pirate ship is really fun. The kids can shoot water cannons at pirates. And Le Boat is a product that's on the Rideau Canal. It's started in France. You drive your own houseboats on the canals of France, but they realized there's also a canal in Ottawa, so they brought them here. And starting this summer, there's a dedicated dock in Ottawa that you can rent the boats from. And we have great culinary scene. Beaver tails started in Ottawa. They're not real beaver tails, they're a pastry, fine dining restaurants, unique restaurants. We even have a dinner theater where the people who serve you your food are also the performers on stage. They wear costumes like you see the gentleman in the RCMP outfit. They sing songs that are either made famous by a Canadian or written by a Canadian. And then we even have we have a casino, escape manners, the National Art Centers where they have National Ballet, National Orchestra, and things like that. So
So many things to do. Love those
Yes.
pictures of the beaver tails always makes me hungry. Love a beaver tail. And also I was just going to acknowledge the Le Boat. So yeah, a lot of the agents would be familiar with maybe selling Le Boat in Europe. So it's really great that it's
Okay.
a newer product to Canada and something to do. So that's great. Thank you. Of course, a big rise in Indigenous tourism at the moment, which is fantastic. So yeah, tell us about some of your Indigenous experiences.
So the company, its Indigenous Experiences has been around for a while in the downtown area, but they recently, a few years ago, bought a farm, and that's where they're focused out of now. And it's called Matahokie Farm, as you can see in these pictures. And if you show up as an individual, you mostly would just see the animals, and there is a store where you can buy Indigenous goods. But if you're a group and you arrange ahead of time, they can do performances, meals, do crafts together, songs, different things. And the horses you see there are called spirit horses. They're a unique breed, and they are a very special horse to the Indigenous local culture. There's stories of them saving kids and things like that. So they're really special to them, and they are breeding them to grow because they were dwindling in population, unfortunately. So it's a really unique farm, and they keep improving it every year. I would recommend it for sure.
Thank you. And yeah, we're going to finish up with the best time, the best season to visit Ottawa. Is there a best season?
Well, I'm a bit more, I have a bit of a preference for the summer, just because there's so much happening. There's, the cruises are on. There's just everything's sort of, all the tours are happening. But as Sonia mentioned earlier, all the seasons are gorgeous. Spring's beautiful. The Tulip Festival we have in the city, the fall with the colors, like she mentioned. And then I kind of preluded earlier to the winter. The skating on the Rideau Canal is amazing. And then the first 3 weekends in February is our Winter Lude Festival, where we do celebrate winter. And there's tons of activities for families and couples to do.
Yeah, it looks amazing. So anytime is good. And what's your average length of stay then, Nicole? Or what do you recommend? Not what do people do? How long should they stay?
We'd recommend at least 2 nights, 3 days if you can, just because you can easily. I have spent a full day from 10 in the morning till 4 in the afternoon at one exhibit in one museum. So if you like museums at all, it easily is a full day. But yeah, we really would recommend at least 2 days, if not 3 and 2 nights, if you can.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Nicole. That was absolutely fabulous. Always love learning more. So yes, we'll just finish up with your contact details. And have you got a travel trade webpage as well there?
Yes, we do. Yes. Yeah.
Cool. Perfect. Thank you. Thank you so much.